Chili con carne is one of my favorite comfort foods. This is a little up-leveled from just a plain old chili con carne you can bang out in the midweek. However, it is still very much doable. So let's get stuck in and let's make this chili con carne. To begin, we are gonna prepare the green bell pepper. Something I like to do here is get a really nice blister or char on it. And these blisters are exactly what you're looking for. I'm gonna leave this to cool for a few minutes and then we'll get on with making the chili. Starting with the white or brown onion, keeping the root end intact. It's gonna cook down for a few hours, so this will just melt apart. You're not gonna see the chunks anyway, so don't be too fussy with how you chop this one. And then you have a roughly chopped onion like this. For the garlic, I've got a nice big garlic clove, just crack off the top. And then push it with the palm of your hand. Easier said than done. 3 cloves. Give them a bash with the side of your knife. Take off the top and end, give them a little peel, and then slice across the garlic to get into discs. And there is our garlic. Right, now I'm gonna cut into this pepper. It's cooled down a little bit, so it's a lot easier to handle. You're gonna put your knife parallel with your board, and you're gonna roll it and just chop across like this. Take out any remaining seeds. So I'm just gonna dice this quite finely. So chop it lengthways, and then across those strips, you're then just gonna cut it into small little dices. There we go. Our green pepper ready to go into the chili. I would advise using a heavy based casserole dish like this. Heavy based pans retain the heat a lot better. Okay, so we're gonna heat our pan over a high heat and we're gonna sear the beef in batches. Tablespoon of olive oil. Key thing here is do not overcrowd the pan when you're searing your beef. We're trying to get a really nice brown coating on all of the beef here. This is where a lot of the flavor comes from. So this is the most important thing, I think, out of everything in this recipe. Whilst the beef is cooking, this is now when you want to preheat your oven. And it will take about 10 minutes to preheat, so this is the perfect timing for our beef. You can tell if this is searing properly because you'll have a high pitched like popping sound. Okay, so now there's a little bit of color on this. I'm gonna take it out, turn down the heat, like this. Batch number 2. We've got the nice browned beef. I'm gonna set it aside, now cook the onions. Little pinch of salt. These onions are now gonna take on all the flavor from that beef that was just in the pan. This is gonna be really good. We're gonna go in with all our spices. We've got 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika, 2 teaspoons of cumin, 2 teaspoons of coriander, and 1 teaspoon of mild chili powder. The garlic we prepared earlier, green bell pepper, which we've charred and diced, and the 3 teaspoons of chipotle paste. Can't forget a generous pinch of salt, big grind of black pepper, and then mix this up and we're gonna cook it for about 5 minutes until all the spices have started to toast and all the flavors are coming out. We're gonna add in the corn flour. It's not traditional in a chili, but I like doing it. It adds a really nice texture to the overall end of the dish. And then just mix it around until all incorporated. Next, we're gonna add in the whole peeled plum tomatoes, 2 cubes of dark chocolate, 700 mils of beef stock, add back in the seared beef, and then we're just gonna mix this until it's all combined and bring it up to a simmer. So cover with a lid and then we're gonna whack it in the oven of 140 degrees Celsius for 3 hours, but we wanna check it every hour and we need to top it up with liquid if it's looking a bit dry. The next topping for our chili, tomato salsa. This is really simple, good quality, fresh tomatoes, olive oil, salt, a little bit of coriander, a little bit of green chili or jalapeno. If you've got some, there we go. Delicious tomato salsa. We're gonna be doing loaded nachos. I've got some corn tortillas here. I'm gonna cut them into quarters and then gonna fry them until they're nice and crisp, season them with a little bit of salt, and then you have homemade tortilla chips. Once you have your tortillas ready, cut them in half and cut them in half again. And there you have your perfect tortilla chip, which are about to fry. And this might take a couple of minutes to get to full heat, but you'll be able to tell when it's ready by dipping in a tortilla. It will start to fizzle and sizzle around it, and you'll know that's ready to add them all in. Don't overcrowd the pan, keep it in batches, take your time, it will be worth the wait. After a few minutes, they will have crisped up really nicely. Take them out with a slotted spoon, and then put them onto a rack to dry. Get a little bit of fine sea salt, a little sprinkle over your crisps. Perfect. The second and arguably the most important part of our loaded nachos is going to be the cheese sauce. To start, I'm going to be making a basic bechamel sauce. We want 50 grams of unsalted butter. I'm just going to melt this over a medium-low heat. Once the butter has melted, I'm just going to add in the plain flour, 50 grams as well, so equal parts. Whisk this together to make a roux. Just slowly add in the milk. Just trust the process. Keep mixing it in little bit by bit, and it will end up nice, silky, smooth. I'm now gonna add in the cheeses. It's been cooking for a few minutes and I'm gonna turn the heat off because you don't want it to be too hot when you add the cheese, otherwise it will split. I'm gonna use some cheddar, some Cornish cheddar, and I'm also gonna use some red Leicester. Just grate this in on top. Season with some salt, a few grinds of black pepper, a very small grating of nutmeg, and then last but not least, a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. Then just mix this together. If you need it to be a little bit thinner, add a little bit more milk. And here you have topping number 2, homemade cheese sauce. Moving on to the guacamole, an essential part of this loaded nachos. We will need 2 avocados, 1 jalapeno, which we want to finely dice, we don't want big bits here. 1 clove of garlic, we're gonna cut that in half and then mince that finely just to help the process later. We want a handful of coriander, roughly chopped. And then finally, a quarter of an onion. We want the onion to be really small here, so peel off the layers and stack them, then dice them as usual and you can get a very fine cube of onion. To make the guacamole, use a pestle and mortar and crush the garlic and chili into a paste. Add in the avocado and mash this up, and once that has been done, add in the chili, onion and coriander, a squeeze of lime juice, and mix together well until it is fully incorporated. It is as easy as that. The chili has now been cooking for 2.5 hours. I'm going to take it out and we're going to add in the kidney beans. Stir them in and then we're going to put the lid back on and whack it in for another half hour. And finally, 3 hours later, the chili is ready. I'm going to plate this up. So this is your basic chili con carne. You can serve this with rice, sour cream, coriander, chili. However, I'm gonna level this up and we're gonna make some loaded nachos. I'm gonna get a big tray and then just pile the tortilla chips in the middle. Pour over some of the cheese sauce. Spoon over some of the chili that we've just made. Add a spoonful of sour cream on one corner. A spoonful of guac in the other corner. Green chilies on top. A few coriander leaves. And most importantly, the tomatoes. Right, we've done the nachos. I think it's time to try them. Have a look at this. I have to say, these are some of the best loaded nachos I've ever made. I've made quite a few as well, so take that how you want. Can't lie, I'm really happy with this. You've got the really crunchy tortillas, top the nice rich cheese sauce. You've got the chili con carne, which is the star of the show here. So much flavor, so many spices going on. And you've got the really tangy tomato salsa and the guac and the sour cream all on top to bring it all together. This is a mighty fine plate of loaded nachos, and I think you guys should try this yourself. You don't need to make the tortillas, you don't need to do the cheese sauce. If you do one thing, make this chili with the tomato salsa and it is perfection. Let me know what you think. And whilst you do that, I am just going to eat this all myself. I'm not even kidding. This is literally some of the best nachos I've ever had. I'm not a harsh judge of myself.